But it's time to talk about some good stuff. Um, we're gonna get into my humble opinion. That's just what we're gonna do. So I had a few things that I checked out the past couple weeks that I really enjoyed. Um, Firstly, it is finally out. Our good friend of the channel, Benjamin Daniel, who has been on the channel. He was on my audio feed video. I interviewed him on the show. He's been the only person that I've interviewed on the show, even though I've tried to get others. And I've talked about his singles in the past, and a lot of the singles that led up to this album, Home Enough for Now, it's out, and it's just so good. Not not surprised in the least how good this album is. It's so for those of you who don't remember, Home Enough for Now is basically Benjamin Daniel working through the grief of the passing of his mother. So it's going to be deep, it's going to be rough, it's going to be emotional, and that's exactly what this album is. And it's incredible, I think. It harkens back to some other things like Tyson Motzenbacher's Letters for Lost Loves was also about the passing of his mother. And it harkens back to A Grief Observed by C.S. Lewis, which was a book written about him going through the grief of the passing of his wife. And it reminds me very much of it. There's some great songs that just really go raw into his emotions. And I saw someone say, and I agree, that this album really is about grieving as a Christian. And one thing that I love about this album is that it's not all about hopelessness and depression. Like, in the end, Benjamin surrenders to God and his will and accepts and just accepts, but everything before that is all about the hard times, the hard feelings, and it's just really incredible, and it sounds great too. There are a lot of the songs on there that I really love, and I highly recommend it. I'm glad that it's out, and I'm just glad to call Benjamin a friend, and very, very proud of him for this release. I'm sure it was a very grueling experience for him to write and record this album, but yeah, it's out on all platforms: Bandcamp, Spotify, everywhere. Go support Benjamin Daniel and check out Home Enough for Now.
And all I could get out was Jesus, 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 Jesus.
Right, next we got the Gettys, Keith and Kristyn Getty. We talked about worship music before, and the Gettys are a duo that I highly recommend when it comes to worship music. I mean, they wrote In Christ Alone, and that's basically what they do, is that they write modern day hymns, and they came out with a new album, Christ Our Hope in Life and Death, and it's I'll be honest, it's a Keith and Kristyn Getty album. Nothing too much about it really stands out, except for I love the lyricism. They're always just masterclasses at writing modern day hymns, and Excuse me, decreased Dampule. Please get off of my channel. Get your spam out of here. How do I get rid of this? Oh, well. That'll just stay there. Whatever. Sorry, pardon that interruption. Keith and Kristyn Getty write songs that I would definitely recommend to all worship leaders to play, to sing on Sunday mornings. I think they're excellent. It's excellent music for that, and this album is no exception. However, I will say when it comes to a lot of their production and their recordings and such, it doesn't really appeal to me that much, and I can't really find myself going out of my way to like just listen to this album, because some of it is kind of just like not incredible. Like, it's fine. I think I would rather hear other people's covers of it and hear like interesting renditions of it. Because otherwise it's just kind of, the music is, it's fine. It's so nothing to really write home about. There are some good moments for sure. They get a lot of inspiration from like Irish music, and that influence is there in some of their songs. In some of their songs, they also have their daughters sing on them. I like those moments as well. But it's mostly like I just recommend them because of their lyricism. I really like their lyricism and their catchy songs and arrangements and such. I feel like I'm coming across really harsh against this album. I really don't feel that strongly against it. I really do recommend it, especially if you're a worship leader. Go check out anything by Keith and Kristyn Getty, and especially this one, which, by the way, the title song, Christ Our Hope in Life and Death, has a feature from Michael W. Smith. So if you're a Michael W. Smith fan, you'll appreciate this. But yeah, I do overall recommend Christ Our Hope in Life and Death by Keith and Kristyn Getty. Go check it out.
Oh, sing hallelujah, our hope springs eternal.
I definitely would recommend Keith and Kristyn Getty any time over Bethel and Hillsong. So I think maybe that's the thing, is that they're a good substitute for it, where their music seems very heavily influenced by like modern worship music trends, at least the way that they mix their music. Their lyrics are definitely far above any of them. So anyways, last but not least, so Switchfoot surprised us with a new release. And I do want to say, for those of you who might remember the episode that I did about Semler, I did talk about my issues with Switchfoot apparently supporting Semler, who is a self-professed gay, lesbian Christian artist. And Switchfoot has come out in support of her. And I have my problems with that. So, but I don't know anything else about where Switchfoot is at with their faith. I'm just going to assume that they're still believers who are just very confused about some things. So that's all I'm going to say right now. But the 20th anniversary for the Beautiful Letdown, was this year, which is crazy. It's crazy to think that album is 20 years old. And they decided to remake it. So in very like Kingman's Call kind of fashion. And so they've released it as the Beautiful Letdown, our version. And I'm a little bit confused by the release. Like, what's the purpose behind it? Because they said in the trailer for the album how they talked about how the album almost never happened because their label dropped them. And so they were like in between labels. And so they almost never released the album. And they mentioned something in the trailer about like how, I think they said something about how when they made the album, it was more to please a record label than anything. And so now this was their version that they would have made if they didn't have those pressures. I feel like that's what they're saying. I don't know. But basically, the album is just it's kind of a paint by numbers copy of the original with a few creative liberties. It's arrangement wise, it's not too different from the original. In terms of production, there are some differences. I'm not an expert on a lot of those things, but I'm sure that like very smarter producers will be like, oh, well, this is different and I don't like how this is different. You really got to be nitpicky with it, but there is differences for sure, especially in John Foreman's performance vocally. It just sounds different. I'm not saying that it's bad or anything. It's just different. And so some fans may not appreciate. I mean, this album is not going to replace the original. That's for sure. I don't even know what I'm saying. Like whether I like it or not. Like I guess it's fine. It's just like I don't really always understand it when artists do this, when they just re-record one of their more famous albums. It made sense with Caedmon's Call because that album had gotten out of like print, and so this was just kind of a special way to bring it back. Even though I would have also liked it if they remastered the original and re-released that. I'm okay with remasters. I think those are fine. Their remasters are basically just a way to maybe perfect some things in the production, but not really change anything, not re-record anything. Anyways, it's not a bad album. It's just that like it's never going to take the place of the original. The Beautiful Letdown it's not even my favorite Switchfoot album personally. I'm much more of a fan of, I really like Hello Hurricane and Vice Versa's. In fact, I think Vice Versa's was their last great album. And with Beautiful Letdown, it has like a lot of the hits, which I will say I listened to the original and this remake back to back, and it was very nostalgic. It does have a lot of the hits though. It has like Dare You to Move and Men to Live and such, which those aren't even my favorite songs from the albums. My favorite songs were the less appreciated ones, like The Beautiful Letdown, I think is an underrated track. But so unpopular opinion, I don't think The Beautiful Letdown, it's not my favorite from Switchfoot, but it is a classic, and I respect it for what it is. This remake you might enjoy as just like a fun little new thing that Switchfoot kind of decided to do. It is kind of fun to hear current Switchfoot replaying their album. Basically, it's just different in different ways, and I guess nostalgia is always going to kind of be like, yeah, but it's not like the original. So. But, if you're a Switchfoot fan, I would recommend it. Check it out, and see if you like it. Let me know what you guys think. Do you like the original? Do you like this new remake? How different is it for you? Do you like it better than the original? Do you think it's better in different ways? So let me know your thoughts. I've got mixed opinions about it. So anyways, Switchfoot, Beautiful Letdown, our version.
We were meant to live for so much more. We lost ourselves somewhere we live inside.
All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for today. Hey, so I don't know if you guys know this, but what you just watched was basically just a clip of a full podcast episode of my podcast, The I'm Clifford Today Show. So you should just go check out that whole episode. Also, while you're at it, you might as well like the video and subscribe to my channel. You know, that'd be really nice. I mean, you're nice people, right? Okay.